Allison heartlessly pushed her new SUV off a cliff, with her 1.5-year-old son Ben still inside. Her seemingly crazy act had a reason. The mischievous Ben had accidentally pressed random buttons on the smart car's touchscreen, triggering the vehicle's lock mode. In the next moment, all the doors locked automatically, trapping Allison outside. Panic surged through her as she tried to pry open the window with a nearby stick, only for it to snap against the glass. Mother and child were completely separated. To make matters worse, the car had entered vault mode, which could only be disabled via a smartphone. Allison was frantic, attempting to guide Ben to press the right button on the screen, but the little boy didn't understand and just tapped randomly. Allison's patience was wearing thin, her anger rising, yet seeing Ben's terrified face made her heart ache. When the phone slipped from her hand, Allison completely broke down. They were in a desolate desert, surrounded only by sand and rocks, with no one in sight. Allison forced herself to stay calm and tried to communicate with the smart system, but it was like a high-security vault, completely unresponsive. She grabbed a rock, intending to smash the window, but after much effort, only the rock broke while the glass remained intact. Ben, frightened by his mother's fierce expression, began to cry, and Allison could only comfort him through the glass, to no avail. Realizing she had no choice, she decided to seek help. Struggling across the desert, she was fortunate to spot a power monitoring station ahead. The iron gate was locked, and her desperate calls went unanswered. She climbed over the wall, only to misstep and fall heavily onto the gravel. Nursing her pain, she entered the station, only to find it completely empty. Everyone had gone home to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. She searched and finally found a large wrench and a flashlight, then hurried back toward the car. On her way back, wild dogs prowled nearby, heightening her anxiety. A fierce dog approached the vehicle, attempting to attack her and Ben. Allison climbed onto the car roof, swinging the wrench to scare it away. She struck the windows with all her strength, yet the glass remained unbroken. Exhausted, she could only sit outside, soothing the crying Ben. The next day, scorching sunlight baked the ground. With the outside temperature at 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the interior of the car was even hotter. Ben, still in his thick clothes, was crying from the heat. Allison's heart ached, helplessness rising within her. Realizing time was critical, suddenly, she remembered a sign she had passed earlier indicating an airport nearby, giving her a glimmer of hope. She once again trekked across the endless desert. Along the way, she found no signs of people and was starving and thirsty. Suddenly, she heard the sound of running water and followed it to a small stream. The water was bitter and hard to drink, but it at least gave her some relief before she continued toward the airport she remembered. Finally, she spotted an old passenger plane, but upon approaching, she realized it was just a wreck. Allison didn't give up. She climbed inside, searching for anything useful. The cabin contained only a few small bottles of whiskey and an empty bucket. She drank a bit to quench her thirst, but it offered little help. Then, she had an idea. She pushed a rubber tire from inside the plane onto the ground and set it on fire, hoping the smoke would attract attention. She quickly rushed back to the car. By now, the heat inside the vehicle had almost overwhelmed Ben, who had fainted from the extreme temperature. Allison poured water from the stream onto the car's undercarriage, attempting to cool it temporarily. She even set up a fire to push smoke toward the car's air intake, thinking it might trigger the smart system to unlock the doors. However, the car's external circulation system shut down automatically, and the smoke could have suffocated Ben. She quickly extinguished the fire, furious once more. Frustrated and desperate, Allison wielded the wrench and hammered the vehicle repeatedly, but the car remained unscathed. Looking at her son, who now had a flushed face and barely reacted, her heart shattered. Ben was her entire world, and at that moment she felt utterly hopeless, even contemplating staying with him if tragedy struck. Then, she noticed a tiny movement. Ben's finger twitched slightly. A surge of joy flooded Allison, revitalizing her spirit. But suddenly, a wild dog lunged at her. She ducked under the car to escape, only to get bitten on the calf. After a fierce struggle, she freed herself and moved the dead animal that had been hit by the car out of the way. A new danger emerged. The car began sliding toward the cliff. Allison crawled out from under the car and tried to stop it with her body, but she was too weak. As the vehicle teetered on the edge, a rock lodged under the wheel, halting its descent for the moment. She breathed a sigh of relief, but the thought of Ben still trapped inside made her anxious. Thinking quickly, she decided to push the car off the cliff intentionally, trusting the smart system to manage the landing. As the car fell, alarms blared and the gyroscopic balance system activated, adjusting the vehicle's orientation. With a loud thud, the SUV landed safely, almost intact, only covered in a layer of dust. Allison climbed down the cliff and, to her immense relief, discovered the doors could now be opened. She rushed to pull Ben out and carried him to a shaded area to lower his body temperature. During her rest, the smart car performed a self-check and restarted, still perfectly functional. Allison could hardly believe it. After confirming Ben was temporarily safe, she got back in the vehicle, pressed the accelerator, and sped across the desert. Approaching a steep, rocky incline, she activated the all-terrain control system, raised the car's undercarriage, and floored the accelerator, finally escaping the danger zone. Eventually, Allison arrived at a hospital with Ben. The mother and child were immediately treated by medical staff. When Ben slowly opened his eyes, Allison exhaled deeply and smiled through tears, overwhelmed with relief. This harrowing ordeal proved that a mother's love could overcome any obstacle, and that calm thinking and resourcefulness in extreme situations are the keys to survival.